Hey everyone, and welcome to this interview with an independent developer. Today we've got Máté from the Infinite Stories app. Today we talk about how he used the competition to get ideas for his apps, the importance of sticking with his ideas even when it wasn't going as he first hoped, and finally how he's now working on complementary apps that really go well with his existing audience and how he can grow that even more. I really hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you again at the end. Hey Máté, welcome.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm just working from home.
Yeah, good. Do you normally work from home, or where do you normally work?
Normally I work from the library because
Okay.
I prefer the silence, but today because of this interview I decided to stay at home.
Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. So let's start right at the beginning, like with how did you learn to code? Where did you learn programming?
Well, I was a really geeky kid, so I decided to learn how to do websites in high school. So I bought a book which was about like learn PHP in 24 hours. Well, I mean it wasn't 24 hours. It took a long time, but actually I learned it, and then I went to university, and I studied electrical engineering, and there was some coding classes there as well, and I was really interested in coding, so I decided to like keep learning that one.
Okay. And was it PHP that you studied at university as well?
No, we started with C, and then we moved to C++ and a lot of other languages. Depends on the course that I took, but I learned Objective-C there as well. So
Ah, nice. Okay. So they actually had a course on Objective-C. That's interesting.
yeah, they had a course about iOS development.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so you were building, or you were learning to build apps at university.
Yeah, because one of my friends was building really simple apps, and he made a fortune, like compared to like a university student, of course, but like
Yeah.
really good money with some really easy jobs. So I decided to like, well, I was always interested in Apple technologies, so I decided to learn it.
And so after university, did you take a job as a programmer, or did you go straight into making your own apps, or what happened?
Well, yes. Actually, I started it with an internship
Okay.
um, during the university and during my bachelor studies, but I didn't want it to have like a normal internship where you're an intern. So I applied to a normal job and asked them to like um, have the papers to look like as an internship. So basically, I had a normal job during the finishing semester of my bachelor, and also I had this job during my master's,
Right, okay.
and then switched to freelancing for 2 years. But I got bored, so I decided to like give it a try for being an indie.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So you got bored of doing the same projects, or what did you find boring?
Well, a lot of stuff. So I really don't enjoy the meetings. So
Okay.
it's really boring to me, and also like I didn't feel that efficient there. So
So you didn't feel like you were doing your best work, or?
yes, exactly. And also what I missed, I think, is the freedom to do whatever I want. So basically these steps, as I consider, is like moving towards freedom. So like when you have a job, you already have some salary, so you can do more than as a broke university student, but like you still have to like sacrifice 40 hours a week. And also if you want to travel somewhere, you have to ask them for holidays, and
Mm,
that's not ideal. So that's why I decided to do freelancing, because that was the easiest step like towards freedom by that time. But
sh-
like if you do as a freelancer, you have more bosses, basically every client, so that wasn't ideal either.
yeah, sure. So, and did you find getting into freelancing easy, or was that a difficult thing to do, or how was that experience?
Well, for me it was easy, but I don't know, that maybe I was lucky. So I just decided to do freelancing. I switched my profile on LinkedIn, and like a week after, one of my friends who had a startup back then contacted me that he needs an iOS developer. So
Okay, wow.
there was my first client, and then it was like I advertised myself on Reddit, for example, and I always found clients, so it wasn't a big deal to me.
So you found work just by on Reddit, just on iOS subreddits, or where did you post for that?
I think I posted on the For Hire subreddit that I'm looking for jobs and contact me for my portfolio. And
Right. Okay.
I found jobs probably because my hourly rate was stupidly low, so
Right.
so I think everybody was happy to work with me.
Right. But it's not just. I mean, they wouldn't stay with you even if your rate is low. People wouldn't stay with you if your work wasn't good. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And then, so while you were freelancing, so you kind of transitioned, I guess, gradually from full time into freelance. Is that fair? And then you've transitioned from freelance into working on your own products.
Yes. Last year I started this as an experiment. So I've had like 1 year of saving,
Okay.
and I decided to let's try this in this stuff. And worst case, I will go back to freelancing with a much bigger and nicer portfolio. So there was some risk, but like considering that I can go back to freelancing anytime, that wasn't really a risk at all.
So you just decided to just say no to new freelance work and just
Yes.
focus on your own. So you just did it overnight, really, from one to the other.
Yeah, kind of. Yes.
Yeah.
I still have like 2 really small clients, which
Okay.
I worked last year, but it was because we started before and I didn't want to like just stop that contract.
Yeah, I have a client like that as well, who I don't really need to work with him anymore, but I like working with him, and so it makes sense. And did you have ideas for what you were going to make by yourself at that point, or
Oh, not really.
no?
I
Okay.
just, yeah, I had like the ideas of like serving small niches, but like
Okay.
I didn't know anything about that. So like first I tried to solve my own problems, but the problem is that if every nerd guy is trying to solve their own problems, that's gonna be like a really crowded market.
Right. So what did you
So
try first? What was your first experiment?
the first one, I think I just made a really simple English grammar checker, because so what I found is every time when I want to send like a professional email just to propose for a client, I wanted to check the grammar, because I'm not a native speaker, so for me there are some mistakes in my speaking and also in my written English, so I didn't want to sound unprofessional.
Sure.
So I made a really simple app. I think it wasn't that good, but it somehow like I targeted a niche which wasn't served well.
Right.
So it was popular back that time.
How did you know that it wasn't served well?
I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I searched in the App Store and I found like 3 shitty apps, and I made
Okay.
one which is like less shitty, but still not a good. So.
And did you write something to check grammar, or did you use an API for that, or was
I
it built
used
in?
APIs, yes, but I don't remember which one, but like 2 APIs at the same time.
Yeah, sure, okay. And so how did that go? Did you get a lot of downloads, or like what? Tell us how it
Yeah,
went.
first I got a lot of downloads and I was surprised, so I like immediately made a paid version too.
Okay.
It was a different app, so because I decided to make if you have 2 apps for an underserved niche, like every time when you search something in the App Store, your 2 apps will be in these results. So.
Sure.
I mean, sometimes it's not ideal, but like in this case, I think it was a good idea to like separate it and not make it as an in-app purchase.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I think now, I don't think Apple would let you do that now.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, but it was a good idea at the time. And so so you had one that was totally free and one that had more features but was paid, is that right?
Yeah, well, basically the only difference was like there is no advertisements in it, and I made a 500 character count limit in the free version.
Right.
Which if you think about is like really not a lot of text. So if you want to use it professionally as like checking even an email, you need to like even use it like separately in every 500 characters or buy the pro version. So I didn't want to like lock anyone out from the features.
Yeah.
Just made it easier with the paid one.
Yeah, so they can kind of just about check a tweet now, like, or now with
Yeah.
a long tweet, but not much more than that. Yeah, and did you find then that people went for it with the what was the kind of ratio between free users and people who were onto the paid version?
It was a few percent. I think 3 or 4% converted to paid downloads. Well, that was good because I had a few hundred downloads in top.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's great. So that one's there now, and it's kind of just chugging along. And then you started working on something else, or what did you do next?
Well, I tried to improve that one, but like soon too, I had to realize that these APIs that I'm using is not even close to like the quality that Grammarly offers, for example.
Right.
So I decided to like build other apps, like because it was a good start, but I felt like this won't be a long-term app. So once Grammarly will release an app, this will like basically go to zero, and that's all happened in September. So
what did you do next then? What was your next project?
The next one I built was a time tracker, because I really wanted to like keep track of my own time, like how I spend it, like how much time I'm in the gym, and also because every time when I work I was in the library. I decided to like make a location-based time tracker, which sounded a cool idea to me. Like it will, so like what it does is that you can like set places. So for example, I set the library as a workplace, and once I enter like the 50 meters radius, the timer will automatically start, and when I leave it will stop.
Right.
So I decided, so I thought it's a good idea, and there are like a few users who are really happy and using it all the time, but to be honest, it wasn't a big success at all. So
right, it seems like something that would be difficult to explain in the context of the App Store. Like, I don't know, I guess so I would search for location time tracking app or something. It's kind of, you have to know that it exists before you know that you want it, I guess. So what was the model in this one? This was totally free with ads again, or what was the model for that?
Well, it was free with in-app purchase, which I think it was a subscription, because I really like this idea of like recurring revenue.
Sure.
But on the other hand, I didn't like felt like charging monthly for this would be like okay, so I decided to a yearly subscription. So by this time, everyone only paid once, because it's not a 1-year-old app now.
Right.
I have some advertisements in it as well, but I didn't like just after 2 weeks of use, because I didn't want to like make them feel like showing all these advertisements in the beginning of the app.
Right. Okay. And so the feedback you got from that was that it was good, but just that there wasn't enough interest, or it wasn't kind of discoverable enough, really.
Yes, exactly. Like a lot of people, like, I mean, not a lot of people, but I got some emails about like how good idea is this, and like they recommend their friends and stuff like that. But to be honest, I see that like in the beginning it was like 10 to 15 downloads per day. So you started on another project after that? Yeah, after that I decided to like leave this idea of like building my own tools, because I mean I felt it's like not a good idea. So I decided to like branch out for other interesting ideas. So I decided to build a flashcard learning app, because I didn't find a good one so far in the App Store. Well, that wasn't a big success either. Then I decided to build an audiobook player, because I had a lot of audiobooks which is not bought from Amazon or Apple's iBook store. I think they are selling audiobooks, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So because a lot of Hungarian audiobooks are not like, they are just like shipped in CDs and stuff like that. So, and my mother was always complaining about this, because she was not able to listen these kind of audiobooks on her phone. So I decided to build one, because I didn't find a good solution in the App Store. And that one is it's working so far. So like I made a lot of updates since I released it, but now it makes about $100 per month, which is like not a lot of money, but like that was a good start. After I think my first step was a big hit, and it was a big lot for me to keep me motivated, because if like the first three apps like total could make me like $100 per month, then I would probably go back to freelancing.
Yeah, but this one was better. And so is it targeted at a Hungarian market, or is it in English or multi-language, or?
Well, it's funny because I started it with only English, but then I decided to like advertise it in Hungarian website, so I made a localization to Hungarian. But well, like Hungarian market is so small, it doesn't really matter. So I had like a few hundred downloads from Hungary, and that was like making it to the top charts.
Right. Okay. So your mum was one of those?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. She's a happy user still.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. She gets priority customer support, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does well in the US store, I guess. That tends to be the biggest one.
Yeah. All the revenue is coming from there. Actually, it was funny because a few months ago it became really popular in Russia.
Okay.
And I didn't really understand why, but I decided to like keep going on that, and I hired a Russian teacher to translate my app.
Okay, nice. And
that increased the number of downloads for another like 2 weeks, and then like the downloads disappeared, and as I checked, there is no enough purchases from Russia at all. So
right, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
And so is that something that you're continuing to do updates for, or what's the kind of status of that one now?
Yes. Actually, I added a new version a few months ago, which was a kind of a bigger update. But I tried to like update all my apps, because what I think, and this is only a theory, but I think the age of an app, it really matters a lot in ASO perspective. So like this app is not the market leader right now, but I hope if I will keep updating it and adding features in the next 2 or 3 years, that could work. And also this is a huge market, so it worth to like just keep updating and spend a few hours in every month on it.
And how are you choosing what features to work on next?
Well, first I had a list of features, and now that list of features is like every time when someone's emailing me about the app, I just consider adding it to this list.
Okay. And do you keep like votes, like a tally of how popular each
Oh, I don't have so many suggestions to like.
Okay.
So basically, if someone is suggesting something, that's gonna be on the list, and if another people is suggesting the same thing, it's gonna be on priority.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes good sense. That's a good way to do it. But you didn't kind of rest on that, and you started working on another project after that.
Yeah. Well, I think after that I built the one that I'm working on right now as well. It's a story creator for Instagram. So there is a restriction when you are posting Instagram stories that the video can be only 15 seconds long. Every time when I try to share longer videos, it was a pain in the ass, because you have to like try to cut it in 15 seconds part. But if it's not cut it perfectly, then the audio will like stops and skips. So I decided to like build a simple app, which was basically doing this one. And also I searched in the App Store like for competition, and I found a few apps which wasn't that great back in time. Now the competitions are better, but like back in time it was like really simple apps, and a lot of people were complaining in the reviews about like supporting landscape videos. Because the other problem with Instagram stories is that if you wanna share a landscape video, it will be cutting in the center, and you cannot see a lot of parts of a normal landscape video. So I decided to add this feature as well, and it wasn't that easy. because like you have to use this AV Foundation framework to like make this video editing. But I think like because it's hard, that's a competitive advantage. So like not everyone can like sit down and make it easily. So I chose this one, and well, it was a slow progress, but the revenue was much higher in the beginning as well, and I was just keep adding features and like try to polish the app.
And so this was, again, it was something that you wanted to exist for yourself. So initially you wanted it to exist for yourself to automatically slice up the videos into 15 seconds.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, because yes, I wanted to, but like the reason I decided to build it is because I've seen in the App Store like how many ratings of this kind of apps have, and like how shitty was the apps compared to like the number of ratings. So it wasn't. I mean, I usually do this, that when I have an idea, I just check the App Store and the competition, and that's how I try to like come up with new ideas.
Yeah, sure. And so that one is done now, and that's now your main income, right? So is that right to say that from this app you don't have to go back to the freelancing?
Yeah. So like in December, that 1 year elapsed, and decided to like keep going in this indie direction. And so like, yeah, thanks. So this app like hopefully it's gonna be the same as right now, but like the downloads and the revenue is increasing steadily. Right. I try to advertise it and like keep different stuff.
And so did you find that it was a hit right away, basically once it was in the store, just ASO did all the work for you, or did you do anything to kind of bring it to make it as popular as it is?
Oh, well, not really. In the beginning, I think it was about like 20 downloads a day, and now it's about 120 or 150 is the average. I don't remember right now exactly. But so like I tried a lot of different stuff. So I wrote about it on my blog, for example, which helped a lot of. So like as I see in the analytics, a lot of people are finding it from Google, and that post is like directing to the App Store. So that drives like a quarter of the traffic. And also I submitted it in Product Hunt, and it was on the front page. It wasn't like the first product of the day, but if you're on the front page, you will get good results. So
yeah, sure. Did you get how was that experience? Did you get good feedback on Product Hunt and stuff like that, or how did you feel when you were on the front page of Product Hunt? That's a better question.
Oh well, I was I really like the community there. So, but I was really anxious about like somebody's gonna point some of the bugs in my app, because like the main version was built in a day. So you have to. Like I was still finding bugs in the last version. It's not a perfect app still.
Sure, there's no perfect apps.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Oh, that's really good. And so I know you're still actively working on the kind of marketing angle. So how do you kind of split? What percentage would you say is split between programming and between marketing?
Well, I try to focus more on programming, but like. Nowadays I try Quora. I don't have like good numbers on it, but I just keep experimenting and like answering every question about like Instagram stories. So that's how I would like to like be an influencer there, kind of. And like it's like I think like 10% of my time, so not too much.
Okay. It's easier to say than to do, but you need to be on Instagram plugging this, right? You need to be doing Instagram stories about this app. There's a podcast called Side Hustle School, and there's a guy who did an episode about, he makes like tutorials on how to make logos, and basically all of his income comes from, he's got Instagram stuff where he posts logos, and then he posts like memes about logos or about designers and stuff like that. So he's got this little kind of community feel around logo design. And then once a while he mentions his courses, and he does really well from that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so even if I don't know how easy it is to scrape people's stories and then like kind of retweet them or to scrape them and then put them as just as videos, or I don't know, like that's definitely something that the main Instagram is popular with, right? Is like people, like there's one that I follow which is like beautiful London or something like that, and it will be other people's photos and then they post them and tag the original poster, and yeah, so maybe there's some way you can do that with Instagram stories. It's kind of curate other people's stories or something like that.
That's a good idea. Like the API is probably not capable of doing anything with stories right now, but I'm sure there is a workaround. So
you can use screen recorder just on the on the Mac.
yeah.
I don't know. You can always ask permission, like as well, if it feels wrong. You
Yeah,
can say,
so
"I'm going to do this," and what do you think? Like, I think most people.
also
would
I
be
think
happy
there
with
is a
that.
web version right now, so that means we can access everything if we really
Right.
dig into then.
Yeah, if you really want to. Yeah, that's cool. That is going well. And so, is that the majority of your focus at the moment? Like, or
Not really, because what I decided to like, I started collecting email addresses in this app, and I want to like serve this niche with some more advanced apps. So like this app, the in-app purchase in this app costs, I think it's $10, so it's really pricey, but the conversion rate is great because it serves a niche which is basically making money with this tool.
yeah.
So I decided to like keep serving this market, and now I'm building an analytics app for
Okay.
for Instagram influencers.
And how have you come up with your kind of list of features for that?
I have a few friends who are actively using Instagram, and the same as I check the App Store, the competition, and that's how I figured out. Like I asked them that which features did they prefer to like the most useful for them. That's where I started implementing those.
Okay. And so let's talk about some things a little bit different. Some of these kind of more random questions. So, is there anything in particular? You kind of covered this a little bit, but is there anything in particular that you think there's been a particular piece of good luck that you've had that's contributed to your success?
Oh yeah. I think this in the beginning, this English grammar checker app, that was like a huge luck, which like made me like it motivated me to work harder. I mean, I'm not really that kind of person who's like listening to this motivational music or watching it on YouTube, but you know, like these small successes like convince you to keep going, even if like that revenue wasn't like I was still like losing money every month, but that like just convinced me to like keep working on it.
Yeah, you could see the potential, and
Yeah.
that was motivating. And another kind of question along those lines is about mistakes. So, is there any kind of big mistakes that you've made, and in particular any where it's kind of you thought it was a mistake at the time, but then afterwards you realised that things have gone better as a result?
Yeah, maybe like what I would say, like taking these two projects, which I did, and also there was another project that I did with one of my friends, and it consumed a lot of time. And as an indie, you know, like you have the same 40 hours every week, and like by spending this time on a different project, not on my own, like probably in long term it hurting my sales. But I cannot go back to work on my own project.
So, in terms of life as an indie, kind of what's the best and worst things in your mind about being independent and living in the kind of Apple ecosystem, or living off the Apple ecosystem?
Well, the best one is probably this, which is in the name, is as like being an independent. So like I can do whatever I want. Like it's funny because with my girlfriend we are always joking about like yeah, I can take a month off or a year off, like, but the truth is that I hardly can stop working for the weekends. So.
Yeah, and so maybe that's the worst thing, is that you're working too much.
Yeah, the worst thing is, I would say, like being in the Apple ecosystem is the ecosystem itself. Like right now, if like they do something really stupid with the iPhones and the sales will go down, that means like the whole App Store will go down. But I mean, I'm not worrying about this because first, I cannot do anything against them. Second, it's like historically it's just growing right now.
Right, okay. Are you using any kind of anything like Crashlytics or anything to collect bug report data and things like that?
Yeah, I use Crashlytics for that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I think
it helped me a lot of times. So
yeah, I think it's good it makes me feel, when I do a new release and I know that I'm going to get alerts if there's a crash, it makes me feel relaxed when the release is going out. I think that's the thing I like about it more than anything. It's like
yeah, the worst thing is when you release a new version and you can see the number of crashes, like a spike there.
What if someone else was going to be starting out, or if we had a third person on this call and they were starting out, what advice would you give to them in terms of if they wanted to become indie, if they're already a programmer but they wanted to become an indie?
Well, probably just keep shipping, like in their free time. So that's like I built a few apps before I went indie, but before I started freelancing either. So I was keep building apps when I had a job as well.
Yeah, okay. So just keep going, basically.
Yeah, probably eventually you will find something which is like worth pursuing in long term. Yeah, but you have to like ship a few apps before that.
Yeah, absolutely. And because each one of those is a learning experience, right? So even anything that doesn't get anything back to you in terms of revenue or downloads, you still have learned, you've made more screenshots, you've done more coding, you've done all of this stuff.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that kind of keeps you up at night or you worry about?
Well, I try to not worry too much about this kind of stuff. So like I'm happy in this situation and I want to keep doing this, but I can accept that like if something bad happens, like if there's gonna be a financial crisis, for example, probably the people who are buying apps will be the first. So like that's gonna be the first one that they will stop doing when they are being worse, like a bad financial situation. So like there should be a lot of stuff to worry about, but I think it's better to like just keep going when you can and like try to diversify your income as much as possible.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. And what about in more positive kind of thoughts? Is there anything kind of technology-wise or business-wise that you're particularly excited about or looking forward to?
Yeah, I really would like to see much more AR apps and like a glass to use that. So I think that's gonna be the future after the mobile applications, like as a current form as we are using it on a screen of a mobile phone.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you don't have to say, but do you have ideas for an AR app, or have you got?
Nothing really special. Like I built small AR apps just to like practice this. So for example, the flashcard learning app is capable of like placing these cards on a table and like flipping them. Huh. But it's a simple application.
Yeah, that sounds pretty neat. That sounds more useful than the average AR app.
Well, I thought about it, but once I tried it, I just realized it's something to like cool to show, but like it doesn't really help the learning process right now. So
yeah, I think that sums up all AR apps at the moment, or at least
yeah, I guess so.
Most of them. But I agree that it's
use it through a phone, so it's not like if it's gonna be in a glass or a contact lens, that's gonna be much nicer experiment. But right now you have to like. Can you imagine like looking at you like this through this phone? It's kind of stupid right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that, so you're keeping abreast of the. How did you find? Was that quick to build like a little AR kind of thing like that, or was that harder than you thought, or easier than you thought, or?
There was another app that I was working on with one of my friends that I mentioned before, which supported AR, and I had to like, that was a pain in the ass to like figure out a lot of stuff, because back then when you only used the beta iOS 11, there wasn't too much documentation about AR kits. So, and also if you search on the Stack Overflow, which always helps developers, like with ARKit it was hard to find something. So in the beginning it was hard, but for this flashcard app it was really easy after the other one.
Yeah, I always find that you don't realize how spoilt you are as an iOS developer with documentation and stuff until you're using the betas and you realize that
Yeah, exactly.
you don't realize how much help you get until there's no help because you're in beta zombie land.
Yeah, I think we are really happy with this iOS stuff. So if you need to know something and you're a beginner, you just go to ravenderlich.com, for example, and you find so high quality tutorials there.
Yeah, I always imagine that it's going to be kind of quite a lot of crossover with games type development with the AR stuff. Is that right? Or like, does it feel more just like normal programming? Or do you see what I mean? Does it feel like a different thing that you're doing? Or
It's kind of closer to basically games because you have to use SceneKit, which is another library from Apple to like 3D environments, which is mostly like games, but I only used the basics of that, so that's why it wasn't that hard. And also I had some experiment with SceneKit before for a university project.
right? Okay, so you've done a little bit already.
Yeah, I built a 3-way chess game.
Okay, I think we've covered more or less everything that I wanted to talk about. Do you have anything else that do you want to plug anything? Like, do you want to plug your Twitter or your? I'll put all the links to all your apps into the description and everything. But is there anything else you want to plug?
Not really. I'm not selling anything or stuff like that. You can follow me on Twitter, but
Yeah.
my username is, as I'm thinking right now, it's impossible for anyone to type who's not Hungarian.
Okay.
It's Kovács A Máté.
Okay. Well, we'll put that into make that a clickable link as well. Yeah, so it's been really great. Thanks ever so much for taking the time. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, I look forward to hearing how the analytics app goes and everything. And,
Hopefully it's gonna be the next success.
I hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I enjoyed recording it. If so, why not hit that subscribe and notify button, and you'll be the first to know when the next interview comes out. Till next time, happy coding.